Good morning, all of you, and welcome back to Dharpan. Today's Dharpan is very beautiful conversation of a execution model. Over past 12 years of doing execution at various places, what we realized is that implementation of strategies, implementation of any thought process needs a very different kind of a flavor. Giving advice is one thing, implementing that advice is absolutely another thing. And what we find is that when you implement anything, the advice with which it started often changes shape in multiple forms. So, implementation is a game of three dimensions, and we will discuss all the three dimensions today. Okay, so let's start straight into what is the meaning of an execution. Last time we discussed about disruption and we understood how disruption can actually create a situation for you where you will have to adapt to it rather than creating situation for yourself. And if you are those generators that you can create disruption, then you will be creating the next wave in the world and not remain just as a follower of the waves created by others or the environment. Now, with that, what becomes important is how do we execute the whole model of our creation, whether this is for this year, or next 5 years. What is your creation model? The creation model can come from disruption as a follower, or creation model can come from disruption as a generator. Now, you can either be generating disruption or you can be following a disruption. If you're neither of this or that, you're actually firefighting every day and you're just trying to find your space or keep your space intact in this hugely competitive world today. आप तीन ही स्थान पर हो, या तो आप डिसरप्शन क्रिएट कर रहे हो, या फिर आप डिसरप्शन फॉलो कर रहे हो, या फिर आप अपने आप को सिर्फ सरवाइव करवा रहे हो. डिसरप्शन क्रिएट करने वाले भी कई बार सर्वाइवल मोड में चले जाते हैं, बट दोज क्रिएटिंग डिसरप्शन आर द वंस हु क्रिएट द नेक्स्ट एरास. And if you are the ones who are creating the next era, then you are in a different zone. Now, many of you might ask, ये next era create करने की जरूरत क्या है? ये जो thought है ना, this thought that next era create करने की जरूरत क्या है? This is the very reason why India doesn't grow, why many of us stay very small and confined to our profits, our margins, our family. बस उतना ही सोचते हैं, इसके beyond हम सोच ही नहीं पाते. Currently, also, I am functioning with some people, working with some people who are still in this zone. I can't push, but if we are not in a zone of creating the next era, that will mean breaking the pot that you exist completely today, then you will not be able to survive the next wave of disruption, which is bound to come in another 6 months. अगले 6 महीने में एक और wave of disruption आने वाली है. How do I know? No rocket science. Waves of disruption were always coming, always coming. The only difference was earlier it happened in a period of 20 years, then happened in a period of 15 years, then 10 years, then 5 years, then 2 years. Now it is almost 6 months. Year back or 2 years back, ChatGPT came. We thought, wow, what a great thing has come. New transformation. Actually, it was. It was the very transformative impact in the world. Then now, today, as we are talking, is ChatGPT the only challenger? Answer is no. There is Claude. There are multiple other AIs have come who are doing different tasks for you. I don't think so. You can even imagine your life without AI right now. And if you are, that means you're still already 15 years behind. Already. Have I adapted to the AI way of working today? It can be today on the sidelines, but it is going to come into the main line very fast. Are we thinking about it? Not thinking about it will depend upon how fast are you breaking the pot or how are you only trying to survive the pot. Okay. Now, whatever you have thought as a plan, आप जो भी सोचो, उस प्लान को इम्प्लीमेंट करने का एक but a specific, beautiful execution model. Now, this model of execution stands on three large pillars. Three large pillars. The first pillar is what I call as the intellectual pillar. Okay, now the intellectual pillar is the one which will define the way you will function. It is that pillar which actually defines how you implement things on the ground. This is how we think of execution. The second pillar is the emotional pillar, in which that rhythm is set. This is how we feel about execution. And the third pillar is the spiritual pillar. This is primarily the why of execution, why execution matters. So, from why execution matters to how we feel about it to how we actually think about it. So, why, feel, and think is defining how these three important legs of execution function. You remove one leg and it collapses. If the why is missing, you may have a great model of execution, you may have a great emotional connect with it, but if the why is missing, you will lose the steam very fast. So we will function clearly today on understanding the three models or three legs of execution. The first leg being the intellectual leg, in which we have 5 steps. We have to consider 5 steps of how execution has to be done. So I will start my whiteboard and start putting things down on it. Okay. Now, let me first overarchingly put down the three pillars for you. The first is the intellectual pillar or intellectual leg, which is primarily thinking sphere. It is sphere of thinking. Then comes the emotional leg, which is in the sphere of feeling. And then last is the spiritual leg, which in the sphere of believing. That is basically the why discussion. Till the time you don't believe in your deeper why, till that time, feeling doesn't become stronger. And till the time feeling doesn't become stronger, thinking doesn't relate, thinking doesn't result in something very magical. Creating small and creating large and mega comes from the spiritual layer of why. Whether you will have the persistence to actually execute that why will come from the emotional layer of feeling. Will you be successful or not will come from the thinking layer of, that is intellectual layer of what you are doing continuously. Now, all the three are important, and I will take you step by step to each one of it, step by step. Now, for example, coming to the execution layer. In execution layer, you follow 5 beautiful ladders or steps, which brings in the intellectual connect of how the whole execution happens. While I was explaining this, please understand execution is not a process, it is a connection, a unified connection which is built on the three legs. एग्जीक्यूशन को जिसने प्रोसेस देखा है वो सिर्फ इंटेलेक्चुअल पे आके अटक गया है। जिसने इसको कनेक्शन देखा है, वो इंटेलेक्चुअल, इमोशनल और स्पिरिचुअल को कनेक्ट करता है एंड टर्न स्ट्रैटेजी इनटू लास्टिंग एंड मीनिंगफुल इम्पैक्ट। It turns strategy into lasting and meaningful impact. So I would just want to say that one line and put it here so that you don't forget it. So execution is not a process, it is a connection. So the connection is between all of them. Okay. Now, coming back, what is the intellectual connect that we are talking about? Now, intellectual connect basically comes from the fact that you need to have five controls, important controls in your head. So, intellectual connect is basically a five-step process, it's five-step framework, which is sharp, repeatable system for leadership teams to scale with clarity, ownership, and discipline. So, five-step framework basically a sharp, repeatable system for leadership or teams to scale with clarity, ownership, and discipline every quarter, every month, every week. As explained in the first Darpan session, I said that the world of annual operating plans is almost going to an end now. We should have AOPs, but the world of QOPs, that is quarterly operating plans, has already taken birth almost. That means I must, like you close your financial year, you must close your quarters like the financial year. So you'll slowly build a model of looking at organizations from quarters rather than from as annual events. Okay. So how we think in the five steps. Let me put those five steps for you. The first step of the intellectual layer. So intellectual leg, the first step as deep clarity. What is the meaning of clarity? Clarity, I keep on saying nowadays, clarity is the only strategy. Clarity basically means what are those five sharp goals I want to achieve this year? Five sharp goals. What are my five? Not more, not less. Five sharp goals that we wish to achieve this year. Now, this suddenly brings the focus down to only five things that I have to do. Now, why five? There's no answer to it. It is just that beyond five, the moment you go, you are just trying to deprioritize many things. So, what are those five, exactly five binary outcomes for the year? Binary, zero, one, ye or ye, binary outcomes. Define non negotiable outcomes. Non negotiable. Everything is priority, then nothing is priority. If this five become your priority, world falls on these five. So The clarity is defining those five non-negotiable sharp goals which actually bring clarity to your working system, clarity to your execution system, clarity to your implementation system. Now, what I will call is non negotiable. When it's non negotiable, not achievement is not an option. Now, if you don't have that intensity, then it becomes a problem. It has to be that intense. Non achievement is not a problem. So, five non negotiable goals. Second leg of intellectual side of building, thinking side of it is focus. One is clarity. Okay, ये पांच करनी है चीजें. Second is focus. What is the meaning of focus? Identify five scale breakers. पांच चीजें जो मेरे को रोकेंगी. What are my five scale breakers? रूट कॉजेस पे जाओ. सिम्टम से मत जाना. गो टू रूट कॉजेस. Top five constraints, and these top five means top five only. So, um, to bring the focus of implementation sharper, what are typical five top constraints that will stop me from overachieving? Achieving my five sharp goals. What are those five top constraints? These five top constraints are, you already know it. So for example, if you start thinking over it, you will already know it. ये पांच चीजें मैं नहीं, मेरे को जरूर रोकने वाली है. How do you actually do a mental model? Put yourself a year from now. Put yourself a year from now, and what you will find is you will have a narrative कि I did not or could not achieve my five goals because of one, two, three, four. You know, for example, you may say, I didn't have leadership. My people left. Don't go to the market. Don't go to market. Go internal. My execution process was weak. I didn't have the supervisory layer. I didn't have this thing. I didn't have the band four. I didn't have the people who are the middle management. Whatever you will say, the reasons of why you could not achieve what you have written the point one, those reasons still exist. So instead of doing a post-mortem, do a diagnostic. Shift from doing a post-mortem of a dead body, do the diagnostic of the living body. Learn, correct, execute. That is focus. That is focus. So, for instance, if we decide that this year we will have, so for example, for a company in logistics business, they decide that for this year we will achieve say 60 crores. That means we will do, say for example, these many kilometers of transportation of material, or this much transportation will go, whatever you decide as your clarity goals. So assume it is a revenue target. Say I will achieve 100 crores. Now start imagining you are sitting a year from now and you have not achieved 100 crores, and how you're discussing in your boardroom with your senior management, with your sons, with your family, that क्यों नहीं हुआ? Maybe you will say, there will be two conversations. One will be the conversation which you'll be saying, one will be the conversation which you'll be feeling but not saying. Say it now. Could not achieve because we didn't have clarity of how we will function together as a family. Number one. Number two, you may say we didn't have the fleet to actually execute this. Number three, you might say we did not have the right marketing done so that we can get in the leads. Whatever can be the top five answers for not achieving the clarity non negotiables, speak them now, act now. Nothing happens by postponing a decision which is already to be taken. Nothing good happens. So, if it is about building a family rule book that how we will function as a family, do that today. Don't say because of unclarity between the roles of the people in the family, I could not achieve it. Don't say that. It is going to only fall and not rise. So, first is clarity, second is focus. Now, the moment you say focus, what happens is you suddenly started listing down things which will be your scale barriers. Third point, and that comes the it starts becoming deeper and deeper. फर्स्ट पॉइंट लिखना बहुत ईजी है, क्लैरिटी लिखनी ईजी है, पांच गोल लिखना ईजी है, लेकिन उसमें जब मैंने वो शब्द डाला ना नॉन नेगोशिएबल, उसको फील करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. So accountability. What is accountability? Simple. One owner, one goal. No committee. Whose name is on this if this falls? So there is a difference between responsibility and accountability. Ideally, both should be same. Whose name is on this if this falls? Ideally, both should be same, but it is not. That's what the two words. Accountability is responsibility with consequence. With consequence. So it is responsibility with consequence. Anything which does not have a consequence has no meaning. Responsibility with consequence is accountability. Now, for example, you may say my production head is supposed to do this much production, or my sales head is supposed to do this much sales. Now, there are consequences if that doesn't happen. When there are consequences, then comes ownership. Now, as a promoter of the company, as a owner of the company, your consequences are very natural because you will have to face the consequences. If you don't achieve, bottom line might get hurt. Your dreams might not get achieved. You had thought you will do something, you can't do that. You want to start new that you can't do that. Now your consequences are natural, but how do you not live with those consequences has to be thought, and therefore involved. Now I'm talking right now, I'm assuming to all the people who are here with minimum team sizes, who have got people who are going to be functioning and working with you. Till the time we don't have responsibility with consequence, accountability doesn't come, ownership doesn't come. If the employee, if the leader already knows वैसे मैं करूँ या ना करूँ, मैं तो यहाँ पर परमानेंट हूँ, because if not me then who? The moment that happens, you have very homely feeling in the organization, but that homely feeling does not result in accountability. I worked in MNCs. I worked in HSBC. I was there with Levers. I worked in a KPMG, Anderson. What I've realized is that That also is a family environment. There is no question about it. But there are consequences of non performance. And there is acceptance in the family that these consequences exist. I have seen conversations among the colleagues where one colleague is complaining it should not have happened, and other colleague is saying, I think you're right. You're my friend, but you are not right here because you did not perform. And if you will not perform, this is going to happen. We all were aware about it. You need my help, I'll help you. You need time, I will speak on your behalf to the manager to give you time. But time is 3 months, 6 months. You cannot have not performance for years altogether and still be part of the family. We can be friends, but you need to have accountability for the goals that you have taken for yourself. Otherwise, who suffers? The organization suffers. And these clarities, like Hindustan Lever, very homely organization, extremely homely, but it doesn't work if you don't perform. So accountability is the third important intellectual leg. What is the fourth important leg? It's the discipline. Now, in accountability, how do you execute the accountability will come from discipline, but let me explain how the accountability and discipline work together. Now, in accountability, like you have one owner, one breaker, one goal, no committees, whose name is on it when it falls, that kind of a conversation. Therefore, we need to build owner led war rooms. We need to have or build owner led war rooms. But these war rooms will be of no use if there is no discipline. Now, what does that mean? We need to have weekly war room meetings. Now, discipline is weekly war room meetings. Weekly. What are these meetings for? Very sharp. What did not happen? What are the bottlenecks? Don't discuss this in the month, in the quarter. Talk to me in week. We discuss about what we were supposed to achieve in the week and what we could not. How can we improve? And how do we see our month ending now? Weekly war room meetings. And this discipline of weekly war room meetings, which translate into monthly post-mortem reports, because weekly war room meetings for me are diagnostics and monthly reviews are the post-mortems. So that next month, this post-mortem can become a diagnostic. Finally, we have quarterly operating plan meetings. Now, when your quarterly QOPs, which are followed by which are followed by every month's postmortem reports and weekly diagnostic reports, then diagnostic, postmortem, and planning will actually result in discipline. Now, when I say discipline, what actually means is we are enforcing certain things, and which is where the fifth leg of the intellectual leg comes in, and that is called as control. What is the control? Very simple. 90 days, that is quarter, 3 months, every 90 days. Hard calls. Hard calls. 90-day hard calls routine. 90-day hard core routines. For example, change owners if performance not happening. Maybe. Maybe you will have to remove the emotional protection layer completely. No emotional protection. Hard calls to be taken every 90 days, review every 90 days. Consider your annual review cycle to shift to a quarterly review cycle with consequences. Shift from annual review cycle to quarterly review cycle with consequences. When I say consequences, it means whatever calibrations and shifts need to be required, we do it on a quarterly basis and not do it for a year at the end of the year. So, intellectual layer is such a powerful mechanism of building the thinking pattern of the connection of execution, that if we follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with discipline, there is no reason why we will not do, why we cannot achieve what we have desired to achieve in our sharp goals. Now, it doesn't stop there, because every execution pattern, model, strategy, tactic, without feelings, without your in feeling, heart involvement, is just a spreadsheet. Is just a spreadsheet. So strategy without feeling is a spreadsheet, and which is where the whole emotional leg comes into play. Strategy without feelings is just a spreadsheet. So intellectual layer brings in very sharp discipline. Intellectual layer brings in sharp clarity. Intellectual layer brings in sharp focus. It gives you accountability. It gives you discipline. It gives you control. But feelings, emotional leg, brings in involvement. Without involvement, clarity, focus, accountability, discipline, control are all empty. So, on one side, while intellectual layer brings in sharp clarity and control, right on, sharp clarity, focus, accountability, discipline, and control. Emotional layer brings in involvement. Now let's look at the other way around. You have the emotional leg, but there is no clarity, focus, accountability, discipline, and control. What will happen? So while I will say the sentence differently, while emotional layer brings in the involvement, intellectual layer brings in clarity, focus, and accountability, discipline, and control. Now, what does that mean coming together? In majority of the family businesses that we function, we work, emotional layer is considered very, is given a huge importance. Emotional layer is given huge importance. And intellectual layer is secondary. Why? Because family is involved. Family is involved, so emotional layer brings in involvement, huge involvement, and there is a huge amount of connection, huge amount of bhaichara, huge amount of oneness. You are giving ownership, but on what? There is no clarity, there is no focus, there is no accountability, there is no discipline, there is no control, there is no internal drive to achieve something. There are very beautiful conversations. This is my family, this is my parivar, this is how we function, this is what we do. I'm doing it for them, I'm doing it for this. But generations passed and competition takes birth from the intellectual layer and builds its strong parivar, which doesn't have their own family members, but the whole world becomes their parivar. How do we move away from this internal conversation that emotional is the only reason why we should have people involved in these strategy discussions? No. We need sharp intellectual leg for emotional leg to generate results. Family is the best companion, but can become a bottleneck if the clarity, focus, accountability, discipline, and control is not set. Then there will come a time where you will say, why am I doing this? There will come a time where your family member whom you trusted will be your future will come and tell you that I don't think so. This is my organization. I should move on. Therefore, emotional layer is a important element, but is not the only element. Intellectual layer is an important element, but is not the only element. We need to have a balance of both. So what is the framework that happens and works in the emotional layer? So in the emotional layer, the framework is simple. We again follow some steps, the five important, you can't call it steps. The five important layers which overlap with each other, which strengthen each other. It is like one giving strength to the other, third giving strength to the first two, fourth giving strength to first three, last giving strength to all of them. And together it becomes a strong, disciplined, emotional, um, uh, emotional protective layer for the organization. Okay. So what are the five important disciplines of emotional layer? The first is D, and D is deep work. What is the meaning of doing deep work? Deep work basically means discipline to go deep and not wide. Now, today's world, going deep has become very rare commodity. With the advent of AI, we have stopped thinking deeply from the spirit to bring out the shining light of yourself. We are thinking prompts and we are building solutions which are not yours, but you are owning it as your own. Because technically it is your own, but it is not your own. Technically, your own means technically your own means it is legally your own. But you know it deeply, it is not come from within my spirit. It does not come from my heart. I feel it in my heart, but I have not built it from the blood of my heart. That is deep work. Not just us, our fathers, our grandfathers were engaged in deep work because there was no option. Deep work meant sitting down with your pen and paper and letting your spirit talk to that pen and write down something beautiful. Deep work means involving all your faculties inside and generating the voice of your spirit. Deep work means the next important thing comes into play, and that is deep work leads to building a rhythm. Deep work brings in rhythm. Now, what does that mean? That means while I'm doing deep work, rhythm is a natural outcome. My heart, my body comes in oneness. And when I am in rhythm, I become a magnet. I become magnet because with deep work, I automatically start aligning my stars. I start aligning my people. So automatically what you will see is whatever I discussed, if my clarity is very strong in the intellectual leg, I am able to bring in alignment of goals with my team. Alignment of goals with my team. So with deep work, you build a rhythm and rhythm brings in alignment. When deep work builds rhythm, rhythm builds alignment, automatically you would want to follow the discipline decided in the intellectual leg, and you will start building, you start closing small little minute items also, because now you're deeply engaged. You see that if I can't close this small granular meeting, and then I can't close the small little spreadsheet, if I can't close this small little conversation, if I can't close the small message that has come, the the accumulation of these small will not result in beautiful large. So deep work builds in rhythm, rhythm builds in aligned goals builds in closing of small, minute, minute goals. So closing of small goals. And once that happens, you see the environment of deep ownership. Now, imagine this and Dwast, intellectual and emotional working together. Now, execution is no more a process, it's a connection of mind and heart. It's the connection of mind and heart. And without connection, nothing ever builds. Without connection, nothing ever builds. Nothing builds. So if we have a beautiful intellectual leg, we need to complement it with beautiful emotional leg. Now, in family businesses, when we say emotional connection, it's only purely in terms of maybe I I consider it mine. I'm not sure whether we are doing deep work, whether we are in the rhythm, whether we have aligned goals, whether we have small little goal closing cadences, those beautiful conversations. Okay, today we closed a very small email that had to be sent to the customer. So day in accumulation builds beautiful, but that accumulation is of the deep work that we have done at very micro, minute, molecular, and atomic level. So this is the emotional leg, which I call as DRACO. Now, you may have you may have a great emotional connect. You may have great um, what do you say? Great connection with everything in the system. You may be doing um, you may be doing something which is magical, but if the why is missing, the plot drops. If we are not doing the deep work, that means either go deep or go home, that kind of a thought, then execution dies in shallows. Because execution actually lives in the deep. It doesn't it doesn't live in shallows. If we are not coming in rhythm, consistency is a feeling, not a schedule. So we have to come in the rhythm. That coming in the rhythm is when we can say execution is a cadence, not a campaign. Steady builds beats brilliant. Steady every day. वो जो आसन में बैठना होता है ना, आसन में आसन और प्राणायाम का साथ में एक रिदम बिल्ड होता है. So our team, if we can answer this question, our team is moving to the same heartbeat every week without fail, every day without fail, every hour without fail, then we have actually called as a deep rhythm. Similarly, when you do small little things, done beats perfect, closed beats open. Starting is easy, finishing is character. Closing is a emotional muscle of yours. Every day ask one question to yourself, what did I not close today? I was writing an essay and I left it open. I was writing a message I didn't send out. I was about to go and say sorry to somebody. I didn't say it. I was about to say thank you to somebody. I didn't say it. If you're not closing, you don't feel complete. And incompleteness brings in unhappiness automatically without thinking. Finally, ownership comes from this narrative: if not me, then who? If not now, then when? It's not a role in the org chart. It is a feeling in the chest. It's a feeling in the heart. If I fail, will I feel it personally or will I have someone else to blame? That is ownership. And once that comes in, DRACO becomes complete. But is it complete? Is it complete? If the emotional link is weak, the team complies but does not commit. That is true. If emotional link is weak, team will comply but will not commit. So DRACO, what does it do? It actually converts execution from a plan into an pulse. It converts plan into pulse. But again, is it complete? The answer is no. It is not a complete layer because roots are still lying somewhere else. The question that you need to ask, and I've been asking this question in all my meetings now in every CEO office that is happening right now with me. And I ask this question to myself also. And I'm satisfied that it's okay, we are small. It's okay, we have got some issues. It's okay, we have got some troubles right now. It's okay. But I'm happy that I'm able to answer this one question and we are incrementally improving every single day. The question is, if our company vanishes tomorrow, if our company vanishes tomorrow, would the world miss it? Would the world miss it? If you don't have to answer this question to me, you don't have to answer this question to anybody else. Ask and answer this question to yourself. If you're living selfishly, individually, and if you say, if I vanish tomorrow, will anybody come and say, I miss you, apart from your family? If the answer to that question is no, you have not created enough impact. If our company vanishes tomorrow, will the world miss it? Go deeper. Working on a deeper world impact is what gives you solid roots. Solid. Because if those roots don't exist, all emotional layers will be taken away by the tornadoes. So the idea is the solid roots don't come from profits and margins and top lines. That's important to survive, to grow, to really make some decent impact. It's important. But am I working for a deeper world impact? Do I have meaning in what I do? Is there service involved in my success? Am I looking to build a legacy over just winning a quarter? Am I contributing or am I consuming? These are the deeper questions that you need to ask. So, the root of the whole game is like strategy without feeling is just a spreadsheet. If I'm not able to answer this question, that will I will the world miss me if I vanish tomorrow? Then your roots are literally missing. Then your roots are literally missing. And endurance comes from the roots. Endurance comes from spirit. Spirit is what gives you life. And working for a deeper world impact is the spirit of the organization. So, the completeness of you happens when you connect with your spirit. Similarly, completeness of your organization, if emotion, if feelings are your pulse, then spiritual connect through contribution is your breath, is your prana, to be very specific. So if feelings are your pulse, then contribution is your breath, is your prana. What am I contributing is the question that you need to ask, because the moment that happens, then everything falls into place. So execution layer has got an intellectual leg, it has got an emotional leg, it also has got a spiritual leg, which is coming from my contribution to the world. And this is where permanence comes into being. And large turnovers, large valuations are just outcomes. Now, having said that, it's extremely important for me to understand a few things while we are on the culmination of the model. So, the three connections, one execution. So, when head, heart, and spirit move together, execution becomes unstoppable. It's unstoppable. It is just that all of them have to come into a proper resonance. Exponential growths happen. Love becomes your root, serving becomes your heart, and contribution becomes your mind. Clarity, focus, accountability, discipline, control. The mind that designs the execution. Deep work, rhythm, aligned goals, closing, ownership. The heart that fuels execution. Meaning, service, legacy, contribution. The soul that gives execution a reason to exist. So I would end my today's conversation of an integrated system of execution, which is a connection, not a process, by saying the systems without feelings will fail. Feelings without system will drift, and neither endures without a deeper purpose, deeper why. So if you really want your organization to shine, you will need to have systems, you will need to have feelings, and you will need to have a deeper purpose, that why you do what you do. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for this. Thanks for coming in. If you have any questions, I can take one or two questions right now. And we'll meet again next week with another beautiful conversation on Dharpan. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Gil.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Thanks for again after COVID, we are meeting with good energy. The GMP process, always the good manufacturing process, is very important for our organization.
Yes.
Like that, Darpan is always supporting us and entrepreneur, the business yoga, the different thinking, the uniqueness, always supporting us to get enlightening. That's important. And today, my question is since I am into water treatment,
Yeah.
I am creating awareness about water management.
Yeah.
The third world war may be water and energy. It's not maybe, now it's happening for energy.
Yeah.
It should not happen for water. That is one thing we are not preaching, we are practicing how to harvest, especially in the home. We can
Mm-hmm.
talk about sustainable development goals. Now it's the time to talk about sustainable development goals.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, homes.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything, when we are not practicing in our home, it cannot be practiced in anywhere. As
Yes.
you told, without spirit, the heart, the rhythm, whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
really you connected very well. But my final thing is how to connect the five elements, because we all know that our body is made up of five elements. The
Mm-hmm.
universe also five elements,
Mm-hmm.
but we need the sixth element, which is our intuition. So you can also talk about, I think, most of the thing through intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Because as last week we talk about, we are predicting our preparedness. We are more into preparedness right now. So like that, I want to balance these five elements, especially the sixth element. Can you
Mm-hmm.
please support me to provoke my thought through contribution? Because most of the time we are subconsciously consuming. The
Mm-hmm.
contribution is very less.
And that's because, see, I think most of the things that you said is coming from contribution only, like building sustainable homes. That is contribution only. But I feel that contribution doesn't come if you don't scale. Contribution doesn't come if you have a lot of I in your contribution. When you say I have done it, contribution fails. If you say I am doing it, contribution fails. If you're saying I know it, contribution fails. If you say that I am, so what happens is when I is very large, company remains small. And if company remains small, you can't create an impact. Small companies cannot create large impact. That is sure. So whether it's transorganization, if it is small today, it's not going to create a large impact. For transorganization to create an impact, I will have to reach the world. For me to reach the world, I will have to become very large. But today, my roots have become strong, but still, I'm still struggling in creating a organization which can scale. But my focus is very clear that till the time my company doesn't connect with a billion people somewhere, somehow, it is not going to create an impact. Now, if the companies who are in a consumption mode hit a billion people, you will have a billion unhappy souls. But if a company with a very pure spirit hits a billion people, touches hearts of billion people, then you will have a very beautiful world that you're creating. So what you're saying is right. What you said is perfect. That is, you don't have to decide anything else. You can't have, the more you talk about this sustainable development homes, which is a very beautiful thought, but more talking about it is not going to make any difference. What you have to do is build something so that you can connect to the maximum number of people in the world. Now the time has come to speak less, act more. That's what the execution model is all about. Build the rhythm in your team. Build the rhythm not through talking, not through giving them lecture, but by actually executing stuff and asking yourself, okay, this year I was, I have, I have purified. I'm not sure whether purification is your thing or not. I've purified 1 million liter of water. Next year, we'll purify 10 million liter of water. After that, we'll purify 100 million liter of water. We're going to go like this. Now, what is that one thing that connects to you as an individual and therefore as an organization is what will actually make your purpose come to life. Rest is all gyan, not going to help anybody apart from just giving you excitement.
The one thing is first start with clean and safe drinking water for each and everyone.
Mhm.
So like that, we have created a 80-20 rule. The 80% awareness about every element and 20% product and services. So like that, water element is starting with rainwater harvesting, and the second, the energy with renewable energy, solar water heater, solar panels, solar street lamp. Now it's renewable energy. There is one gas stove also come with the bio pellets.
Mm.
So like that, we are connecting with energy, and then land with the bioseptic tank, grey water treatment.
So you are doing
So
many things, and I can feel it. Just think in yourself, what is that one thing that I'm creating an impact on, and that's it. And just work and scale that, because that one thing will only create multiple more things. But scale one. Don't try to spread more. The more you spread, you can't scale anything. You'll be happy about it, you'll be satisfied about it, but you will not be creating a contributing impact in the world if you're not scaling any one of things.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Really, I was thinking more about five elements, but the single element will help me to scale up. But my mind is always thinking about what happened to other elements, like that our body.
Don't do
If
that.
the heart is wealth, some
Don't
other
do that.
five organs, like that, it's automatically,
Don't do that.
subconsciously, I am moving to others.
I can feel that you are getting very anxious about Gyan. Don't do that. You have chosen one beautiful element, that is water. Just scale it up. Scale it up. That's the only message that you should give to the world. Not saying others are not important, but saying that I have taken responsibility of this one element to make it beautiful. Let's do it. Okay?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you
Thank you. Thank you.
for my insights awakening. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. I think there are many questions on the chat box. My company, one plant is good, but management is very poor, so attrition rate is too much. Please advise. See, there are many things that are happening in terms of there are many things that will contribute to attrition. It is not management is a combination of many things. For that, we'll have need to have a deeper conversation. um, I will be covering the topic of people management and the processes in any of one of these darpans. I don't know which one, but next darpan will be focused on around execution only. I'll pick up a new topic on execution into it. It'll be the models of execution, and those models of execution I'll explain in a different way, that how for different kind of companies how different models actually function. um, but the question that you have asked is not a one line answer. You will have to do a deeper study and deeper execution, and it's a method then knowledge. So method needs to be implemented on the ground for the management to become proper, for it to lead to less attrition, greater results, more productivity. So maybe another conversation, another connection, or another engagement is required with us for that to happen. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for today's darpan, and looking forward to seeing you again from next Saturday. Stay blessed.